All right. Uh, 1 minute, please. I had the wrong, send the wrong link to Twitter just a few minutes ago. Hey, let's do this. And then the scholarships. Nine. Me. If you can. Right. Okay. So we just wait for more people to join in. Um, Hi, Bukola. How you doing? Uh, Good to have you here today. Today is Veterans Day, and but I just came around to do a few things. I've been working and then ran some errands and for my wife, of course. And here I am doing this before getting back to work. So let's just wait for a few more people to join. Um, I say you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. We just wait 30 more seconds. It's interesting how much 30 seconds can be. Yeah, I saw your tweet that you're not feeling too well. I hope you are feeling really, really better now. Good, 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 good. All right. So we have 10 more seconds to go. Hi, Sadiq. Hope you are doing good. It's good to have you here. All right. Okay. So let's begin. So today's live stream, I just want to first share the story of how I struggled to get scholarships. When I was an undergraduate, I thought, okay, once you have your first class, um, and then everything is just in place, great grades and all the stuff, everything is done. But I didn't understand that there were some other things that actually needs to be in place, even with your very good grades, with your first class, with your 2-1 and all the stuff. There are some things that actually needs to be in place. Okay, so I had my first class in physics. Uh, that was 2012, and then I served, came back. Of course, if you have ever heard of UI before, University of Ibadan, they offer scholarships in quote. Yeah, not even in quotes. Hi, Emmanuel. I say hi to you. So if you've heard about University of Ibadan, they offer scholarships to MSc scholarships, master scholarships to all those who finish with first class. And of course, I got the scholarship from UI, and then I went back to UI to do my masters. And during my masters, I started looking out for scholarship. I started searching out for scholarship, doing my best. I mean, during those period, my all my advisors, all my lecturers, some of my lecturers, my supervisors, they started uh, writing recommendations for me. I Adewumi, hope you are doing good too. So they started writing recommendations for me. I initially then I felt scholarships to Asia should be easier than scholarships to US, Canada, Europe, and the likes. My mentality now, I was like, oh, if you try Asia, Asia should be easier. You should be able to go to Asia easily because it is Asia, it is not Western world. And the way they structured their admission was not something I was prepared for, was not something I had um, the needed things to navigate. For example, I started looking at Singapore. They have different awards in Singapore. I think I must have shared some of those scholarships available in Singapore. Singapore is a great country, great, awesome universities, one of the best in the world. Some of the best universities in the world can be found in Singapore. Or the Nanyang Technological University, is the National University of Singapore, and all those schools. So I started looking out for those schools. There is this offer that the Singaporean government uh, as for international students to be able to come to Singapore and study. Big money. I mean, they're paying you big while you're studying. So I was looking at that, and then I applied, of course. Now, in the application, one of the things that you actually require in the application is to be able to write what we call research statement, research, more like a research proposal, research statement. And then I was interested in medical physics. So I was just searching stuff online, write research proposal, write research statement, and all the stuff. And I will apply. Of course, it was not successful. Singapore was not successful. And Hong Kong has almost the same package. They have the Hong Kong government, they have that package for international students, and they partner with different schools. And you can actually apply to the institution, to the body, and then through the school. There's a way they do it, and then someone nominates you and all the likes, and then you still travel to write exam in Hong Kong and all those stuff. So I was applying to that too, and I wrote to so many professors there. Of course, I could not really relate with them because what they want, I've never done research in that area before, and then what I was choosing, I've never done research in those areas before, and all I could come up to write from online, from all those things gathered together, they are actually not writings of great quality. So my applications to those places were not successful. In fact, one of my professors in UI then was saying, why are you going to Hong Kong? Why are you trying to go there? You still go there and write exam. Because then I was crazy about leaving Nigeria. I must tell you, I had my first class in physics. I had my distinction in masters. I was teaching in a secondary school. I was not just teaching in a secondary school. I was teaching GS3 students. I was teaching the physics part of basic science. So you can see how underutilized I was at that time. And I was really, really determined to just leave the country no matter what. I didn't care. Hong Kong, Korea, anywhere. Okay. So, hi Daniel, I hope you are doing great. So I didn't care. I just wanted to leave the country because I was underutilized in Nigeria. I was underutilized. So I applied to Hong Kong too, and then I couldn't get past those admission, those selection stages. I wasn't even selected at all, and I was wondering with my first lab. So I said, okay, let's do Korea again. So I started South Korea applications again. South Korea applications, you fill forms, you download many things, you do what they call notarization of documents, you get Yano success. Hope you are doing great. You get lawyers to stamp your documents for you, Ministry of Education. You do all those stuff. I was doing all those stuff, hustling, saying I must leave. To me, I just felt Asia should be easy. It should be somewhere very easy to move to Asia. I mean, within me, I was just saying Asia. It's not Western world. Why shouldn't I be able to get past all these barriers? But again, I sent all my documents. I still remember, was it one school, Dongguk School or something, Dongguk Universities or something like that. And then I sent all my applications to Korea. I was spending money to send paper documents, sent it to the school. Of course, they sent me an email when they received the documents and all those stuff. And within me, I was just hoping that this will be a success too. But eventually, it happened that it was not successful too. So I had Singapore, I had Korea, not successful. I had Hong Kong, not successful. So I was really, demoralized. I was not happy. So many things happening. Even in the place of work, so many things happening. I was just not really happy with that aspect of scholarship. So again, I tried. I said, okay, let's try BA. BA is a bilateral uh, by Nigeria's bilateral agreements with other countries. Okay, so Nigeria, for example, the Federal Government Scholarship Board. How are you doing, Josiah? Josiah. The Federal Government Scholarship Board of Nigeria. They have agreements with some countries. They have agreement with Russia, and I must tell you, people are getting this scholarship. I have someone who won that scholarship recently for undergraduate studies. She will be going to Russia very soon to study medicine and surgery. Okay, so um, I did BA too. I went to write the exam. If you know BA, FSB, they do all those things every year. You go to some places to a school, they write the exam. I think I went to Ogun State then. I stay in Ibadan, so I went to Ogun State then to write the exam. And mind you, all those applications I was doing around, I was sending money, traveling around. Those periods I was sending applications to places in Nigeria to work. Okay, I'll still share some of those stories on Twitter to write. It's easier to read again and again than to just listen once. So, um, the the federal government scholarship went to write the exam. I did the exam very well. Exam is not a problem for me actually, writing those exams. So I did very well. But you must know, FSB, they have all these uh, internal things that they do, and of course, I chose China and is it China and Korea again? That China and Korea. I chose two countries, and eventually, when the result came out, I wasn't chosen. In fact, the result did not even come out. I didn't hear about the result. I've not heard about the result till today. Till today. I know I finished that exam. I finished everything. I think we got to a stage where we were submitting our document, PhD. I didn't hear anything about the exam till today. So okay, so China not successful, Korea not successful twice, Hong Kong not successful. What do you call this place? South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore not successful. So I said, okay, let's see where can we go again. I was thinking within my mind. Then I was thinking doing anything with Europe or US or Canada would be too difficult. So I still had my eyes fixed along that direction. So I said, okay, let's try. I think I tried Malaysia. I can't remember if I went through with those applications, but I tried New Zealand again. I said, okay, let's do New Zealand. So they also have the government who fund scholarship this way, and then they have schools they work with. Did I New Zealand? Did I do Australia there? I can't remember. But New Zealand. So I did New Zealand application. I think I did Australia too, if I can remember. New Zealand. Let's focus on that. I did New Zealand, and then eventually it did not work out. Also, I mean, you can't imagine doing all those applications. Some of them spending money to send documents to those countries, very far places, China, this place, and then you are sending documents and it's not successful. So I saw Italy, International Center for Theoretical Physics in Italy, and I applied there for medical physics. And interestingly, it got so good. I was chosen, I was admitted. I was given scholarship in Italy. Uh, but again, they also require some documentation, which we require in Nigeria because of the way our country is. Things you should get in 2 weeks in other countries, 3 weeks. I think I was some documents that you should get certified in 2, 3 weeks in other countries. In Nigeria, they said it would take like 2, 3 months, and the school only gave me 1 month to submit those documents. They call it DV, is it DVC or DCV? I can't remember the shortened form now. So I could not get the document. Of course, I didn't know how long it should take. It should take in Nigeria when I started. When I was to start, I thought like other places 2, 3 weeks, and when I was about to start, it was they gave me just 1 month, and I could not. If I had known that I would need that document, I would have started like 3 months even before the shortlisted name was released. Before my name was released as one of those who won the scholarship. But of course, I didn't know, so I could not go to Italy. And then I remember that December, was it December? Towards the end of the year, 2016, I was just tired. I remember I was in my room in my dad's place. I was like crying. I was crying internally. Men don't cry out. That's what they say. They say we are strong. So I was crying like, oh my. So this year is gone again. And the funny thing, at the beginning of that year, that 2016, I was telling myself, all these scholarship applications I'm doing, if none of them clicks, something is definitely wrong with me. In Yoruba, I'll say it in Yoruba like, one telling me lately, something like that, because I was doing so much, and I was just hoping one week click. And when Italy clicked, I received the scholarship, but I could not go because I could not go to the embassy to get the visa because I could not get the documents they actually needed. It was tears for me. And then when 2017 came, I just decided that okay, I'm not going to the east again. I'm not doing all those places again. I think I even started Saudi Arabia scholarship then too. Saudi Arabia also had very good package. Either Saudi Arabia or UAE, they have a very good package in terms of money. So I started that, but eventually I didn't go. UAE, I think they require GRE then or something, GRE or TOEFL. And majorly, I must tell you, one of the main reasons why I was looking in that direction, why I didn't want to do Western world, why I didn't want to do US, Canada, UK, all those countries, was because I didn't want to write GRE. Basically, I didn't want to write any exam. I felt I have my first class, I have my distinction. I mean, my grades are enough. I should be able to get this thing on a platter of gold. They shouldn't stress me. So, but with all those things that happened, I realized that okay, I think I need to up my game. I need to do something extra. I need to, uh, especially when it comes to that area of research, write all those writing for research proposal. Um, I don't really know what to write with respect to what I wanted to study. Then I was choosing medical physics. Then I didn't know what to actually I thought what I was writing. I thought they made sense. Okay, but when I read it later on, I think more when I read it months after, I actually discovered that what I was writing does not make sense at all. At all. I not remember saying whoever reads this, those professors, like I pitied those professors that actually read it. It does not make sense at all. So those were the issues then. Because I didn't want to write the exam, I just said, okay, let's write research, whatever, research statement, let's write research proposal, let's do all those stuff. Those experiments I was trying to propose, to do methodology, to do literature review, I know what I was actually reading, they didn't make sense at all, at all. So within me, I just said, okay, now let me be humble. Let me forget the fact that I had the first class. Let me forget the fact that I had a distinction in MSc. Let me just forget that fact and then be humble and then do what uh, proper people, when I mean proper people, those who are not proud, those who are not dependent on, oh, I have a high CGPA, it's going to take me fly, it's going to do all those stuff, it's going to make me fly. I said, okay, let me be humble. So I remember towards the end of 2017, in fact, that 2017, I just said, okay, now I'm focusing my attention on USA. Okay. I said, I'm focusing my attention on USA. I'm not trying to do Japan, Korea, China, all those stuff again, or just trying to throw it and see which one sticks. So I started preparing for GRE. I paid for GRE then. I remember when I was working there, I was collecting 50,000 as salary, 50,000 naira. I mean, small money. And then remember 1 month salary. Then I just said I'm going to register for GRE. So I paid for GRE 45K out of the 50K. Those guys were doing promo then. So I was able to register then. And then, of course, I wrote the exam. I had a good score, an average score, um, not extraordinary, but an average score, something above 300. So I started throwing my applications that year. In fact, I wrote my GRE 1 month to our wedding. Then I wrote it in November. We got married in December. So I was preparing for marriage, for wedding. I was preparing for GRE. Of course, I was reading books on things that has to do with marriage. I was reading books on sex, reading books on other things, and I was reading my GRE books too. Okay, it's because we must pass both in both areas. You must not pass GRE and go and fail this one, and you must not fail this one and go and pass in this one. So I wanted to pass in both. So I read for my GRE, I passed my GRE, and then I made applications to schools. I remember after our honeymoon, we came back home. I had like 2 weeks break from work, and then we'll be doing all we had to do, and I'll be doing application, school application alongside. Okay, so I was doing everything together. Apply to school, do what we have to do as couple, apply to school before I resume school. So I applied to, I think, 4 schools that time, and then January came, February, March, that's 2018. We're expecting, and then those schools, some of you are laughing. Okay, normal things. You must not fail at home, and you must not fail in your career. So those results started coming in, and they were just rejection. Of course, this is the first time I was applying to US, and I did. I made up my mind that it's gonna be US. It's gonna be US. So I made up my mind and I applied. And then when this results started coming in, rejection. One school gave me, what do you call it? Admission without funding. They gave me admission without funding, and then I was, what normal things. They gave me admission without funding, and then I started talking to the school. In fact, we were 3 that were doing the application together. And this will bring me to one point, that when you are doing your applications, have people that are of like-minded, that you can do it together. Okay, we were 3. Of course, the 3 of us are here in the US already. So we were 3 doing the application then. We'll be talking to each other. Oh, what's going on? What's Oh, Robin boy, it's so nice seeing you here. It's so nice. It's so nice. So we were doing the application, doing all those things together, and then, of course, we were all receiving the rejection letter together. So we console each other when that me have received from this school the rejection. This one to say he has received from this school rejection. This one to rejection. We will console each other that okay. So just we will not give up. Let's continue. Let's try again. We will continue to do it. So one school gave me admission without funding, and what I did, then I started looking out for someone who has funding. They said I should send a an account statement with around is it 10 over 10 million naira. That's when you convert it to naira. Then uh, I think it was around $20,000 or $25,000. Then I mean the dollar to naira rate was still low, so it was just over 15 million. So I was looking for people. I was sending messages to people that I think have money. If I remember, someone just say covetousness is not good. Someone just bought a car, then new car, I think 30 million or 40 million car, something I can't remember. And then I was sending message to the person like, I just need you to put money in my account, and when so I will return it. So thinking within me that okay, when I get to US now, we will hustle, we will work, we will try and make money and start paying school fee and all those stuff. Of course, nobody gave me money to put in my account so that I can get I-20. But eventually, I got a man. He has a pharmacy shop somewhere in Ibadan. Just, I was surprised. He has this pharmacy shop. And then he said, okay, I can use the statement of account. And then the statement has that's over 10 million, like 14, 15 million in it. And then I went with the statement, and then I was almost sending the statement to the school. I think I even sent it to the school so that they can send the I-20. So they can send the I-20 to me. When you receive your I-20, you start your visa processing and all those stuff. So I was almost sending it to the school when in fact, I think I sent it. They told me the I-20 is ready, and just to pay, I'm to pay $30 for UPS to ship my I-20 to Nigeria so that I can have the I-20 with me. So as I was almost clicking send, like pressing send, like so that they can have inputted my account details. Those times we can still use our GTB credit debit card and all those things online. Then it's not now that Murphy is messing everyone around. So I was almost clicking send, and I just had a little check within me that, do I actually think this thing will work? Do I actually think I will get visa at the embassy with someone's statement of account? Someone I don't really know. All I will say is that the person is my uncle. And VOs have had stories like that. They are tired of hearing stories of my uncle will sponsor me. My uncle will sponsor me. So I was almost clicking send. In fact, my wife now, we that was 2018. Okay, we'll be having our baby in like few months that time. But my wife was encouraging me that no, you can do it, go for it, I'll be fine. I was like, do you mean I will travel and I won't see that baby and all those stuff? So I had that check within me that, do I really want to do this? I just canceled everything and I didn't do it again. I just told myself, um, I will do, I will become more humble this time around. Okay, if because those times I applied to schools that didn't require TOEFL, because I didn't write TOEFL. I only applied to schools that waive TOEFL for Nigerians that see us as English speaking countries. So I didn't write TOEFL. So I said, okay, this time around, I will become more humble. So I didn't do the application. I let it go. I wrote the school. I told them I'm deferring this admission till next year. Let them defer the admission till next year. And they deferred the admission for me, thinking that, okay, if you can get scholarship for me, I will come. If you can't get scholarship for me or can't get funding for me, I'm not coming. So that year, after I stopped the application, stopped after which I stopped the I-20 from being sent. I didn't allow them send the I-20. I started studying for TOEFL. Okay, remember GR is 5 years, so my GR was still valid. Then I started studying for TOEFL. I had a student in my school then who was also preparing for TOEFL. So this girl is very good, very good. She had Cambridge A level. She had A star in physics. I taught her the physics, so she was the best student in physics in the whole of Nigeria. So Cambridge, folks come from Cambridge University came. They gave the award to the student. They gave the award to the school and all those stuff. So the girl was also trying to apply to a school in Canada then. So I said, yes, testimony, let's study together. What are you studying in your TOEFL? She's my student, oh, right? So we're studying. She would study, I would study too. I was staying late after school, studying, teaching my students too, teaching them, studying. I was teaching Cambridge level at that time. So I was studying for my TOEFL. I told my friends, all my three friends too, they didn't get, all my two friends, those two friends of mine didn't get the admission too. So I told them, I'm studying for TOEFL now. I want to write TOEFL and add it to it. So I wrote TOEFL. I had a very good score. Of course, myself and that girl, that my student, we were doing competition to see who will have the highest score. But of course, I had the highest score than her. I mean, I was telling her that you are my student. If you have higher score than me, I should be ashamed. Just in quotes, it's a joke. Okay, because it's possible. This is just TOEFL. Right, so I had a very good score, and then I started application again. This is the second time for US. Now, one of the schools I didn't choose, I started looking out for schools. I added more schools to those schools I would choose. I applied to like 6 or 7 schools this time around. But I remember one day, I came back from work. I think I was either studying my Bible or praying. I can't remember. I had my table, my book. I had my jotter, my diary opened in front of me. And as I was so quiet, I just felt like, because I told myself I'm not going to apply to those schools. FSU was one of those schools that rejected my admission, my application during the first time I applied, during the first cycle. So I just felt that little voice within me saying, that place where you were rejected, you will be accepted. I wrote it down. So immediately I had that little voice. I knew this thing is talking about FSU, apply to FSU. The Holy Spirit is talking on this thing. The Holy Spirit is talking about FSU, apply to FSU. But I wrote in my diary, I'm not sure. I don't want to waste another $30 application fee. I'm not sure I'm going to apply, even though I wrote it in my diary. I wrote it very tiny. Sometimes you hear something and you want to write your doubt. It's little tiny, just beside the exact thing I wrote. So I said, I'm not sure. I'm not going to apply to FSU. But the voice kept growing within me, like, apply to FSU, 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 FSU. So I just said, okay, let me waste a $30. Okay, I'm going to waste this $30. Whatever happens out of it, I don't know. Let me just waste it so that it doesn't look as if I'm disobeying God. So I included FSU in my application. I told my friend, I said, I'm applying to FSU. They said, no, they are not applying to FSU because I said FSU rejected them too. They said they are not applying to FSU. That's good luck with me. They said good luck, oh bro. So I included FSU. Then I added a school, USF. So at the time, one of the schools I applied to called me for an interview, and then I chose medical physics there. So during the interview, now this is one lesson to always have an alternative research interest. So during the interview, they asked a lot of questions. What do you do presently? I told them it was a video interview, Skype interview. Zoom was not popular then. Everything was Skype then. So I mean, Zoom became very popular because of the pandemic. So they were asking, what do you do now? I tell them I teach A-level physics. I told them I teach A-level physics. They said, okay, do you teach them in English? Do you do this? Do you do that? I said, yes. Okay. So we had a very good rapport, little physics talk and all those stuff. So the person that was interviewing me asked that, okay, so I chose medical physics, but in their school, the slot for physics students, those with physics background for medical physics, is very small, very limited. So he asked me, do I have another research interest in mind that I think I can also do? I said, of course, yeah. I mean, I know the names of those professors. That's why when you're applying to a school, know the names of those professors very well, know their research work, know their research interest. So if I used to write it down in the book, I had those books with me. Like, yes, I have Professor so. I also love what it does in terms of XYZ. I love what it does, this and that. The person said, okay, that's good, that's good. That's good. That okay, it's good that I have this alternative research interest that they will consider me for that. So that they won't put me in the application for the medical physics. The medical physics application is a different application entirely from the physics department application because they receive students from other fields, from physiology, from medicine, from all those stuff into the medical physics. They receive students from radiology and all those things. So physics is just one of those backgrounds that they receive. Okay, so they said they are going to put my application in the main physics application, main physics. What do you call it now? Whatever we call it. Okay, so they put my application there, and then we continued talking, and then it was looking as if I'm gonna. In fact, asked me that if they give me admission, that am I going to choose their school? I said, of course, I didn't say to them. In my mind, I was saying, what do you mean? I will choose your school. So they asked me, do I rate their school in terms of the number of schools I applied to? Like, do I rate their school as one of the school most likely for me to attend? I said, of course. What do you mean? The school is also in Florida. I said, of course. It's one of the top school. I told the person interviewing me, I said, one of the reasons I chose Florida is because of the weather. The weather is very similar to what we have in Nigeria, this and that. I explained the tropical climate we have in Nigeria and how it's similar to Florida to the guy. And I was like, okay, good. So the guy got my assurance that I'm going to choose their school. And whereas I also know a Nigerian who also applied to the same school, the Nigerian was already in the US at that time. The guy was already in the US. He had finished his master's and was applying to the same school. So myself and the guy communicate. So I think they also interviewed the guy. He told me that, they've interviewed him too and this and that. I said, that's cool. So before you know it, after the interview, of course, I was already feeling confident. Every road I passed to work, then I was like, this road, I will miss this road. All those, what do you call, roundabouts, from roundabout to Total Garden, all those routes, I was already saying I'm going to miss this road because I will be gone. So to cut the long story short, after few days, maybe is it up to 1 week, I just suddenly received a message from FSU, boom, letter of admission, assistantship. They wrote the amount they are paying. They wrote everything. I was like, my God. I was saying this in my mind, this same FSU. You understand? I applied to so many schools, like 7 schools eventually around that time. FSU sent their own offer in February, I think very early February. That was just a few days after the interview with this other school, USF. So they just sent the admission. I was like, wow, wow. So I did a little accord. I wrote the graduate coordinator that, okay, that I will consider their offer, that I want to wait a bit for other schools that I applied to, maybe USF, because USF was paying more than FSU. Okay. Yes, you will miss many roads. So sometimes I go to Google Map to look at those roads I've walked through. I go through the Google Map to see those routes in my parents' house. I try to look at those things. So when I saw that FSU admission, the way I walked to school the second day changed. The way I do to my student, like not arrogant, but like in my mind, I start looking at the students. I will miss you guys. I will miss you guys. I started telling my coworkers, I will miss you guys. So when the admission offer came, I was like, wow, this is it. So late when I wrote to the woman that I would consider it, later I just said within me, FSU, I just remember those words I received that where you were rejected, you'll be accepted, which was the major reason I applied to FSU. I just said, oh, there's nothing else to even consider. It's FSU. I just said FSU, FSU. I just wrote back that I'm receiving the application. I just click receive application. I mean, what do you receive offer, not application. I just received the offer. And then I wrote to a USF because I know a Nigerian who also applied to that USF. I told that Nigerian that, oh, I've accepted FSU offer, that I'll ask these people I will to not consider me for the application again, that I've accepted an offer or another offer, so that they can accept you. Because in my mind, I was so confident that I'll be the one to be chosen. Of course, they may have chosen both of us, or they might have chosen both of us, or whoever they want to choose. So I wrote USF, the other school, that okay, I've received another offer. I'm not coming to your school again. I'm not accepting the offer to your school again. And then I wrote the Nigerian that okay, you should be expecting that admission because I've told them not to consider me again. And those professors from that school thanked me for letting them know so that they don't wait. They would have wasted a slot. Not wasted anyway. If I had rejected it earlier, someone else would have taken it. So they thanked me for getting back to them quickly. So that was how my journey to FSU began. I started walking like, oh boy, I will miss Nigeria. I started my students, things, good news flies, right? And then my students started hearing that uncle is leaving us, uncle is traveling to the US. Some of my students, I had a lot of good students. Some of them started crying like, uncle, you are leaving us. In my mind, I was like, you people will leave this school too. You people will leave me here too now. Like they were crying now, uncle, we miss you, we miss you. Uncle. One was even saying, uncle, don't go. In my mind, I was like, don't go, waiting. I be, what is wrong with this girl? So they're like, don't go, this and that, we miss you. And then I told my people at place of work, I wrote them a letter. I resigned. Wrote them my resignation letter. I gave them 3 months to find a replacement. Then I started searching, started the process of applying for my visa. In fact, when I went for my visa interview, boom, it was just very free, very interesting, very straightforward. Few questions. I have a video on the visa interview here, so I don't repeat things. You can check the video on the visa interview. So, few questions, I responded, and bam, visa approved. I went to pick my visa, and I started counting days. And you see, every time I just remember where I started from, looking at those those applications to Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea, Italy, New Zealand, all those countries where they were disappointing me. Looking at the FSB scholarship that we did, federal government scholarship that I didn't even hear the result till today. I just say, thank God I didn't give up. Thank God I wrote my TOEFL. Thank God I decided to be humble and give it all it actually takes. So I got my visa, and then I just traveled straight away. In July, I traveled and then landed in New York. When I landed in New York and I saw how JFK looked like, John F. Kennedy Airport, because before I left Nigeria, I was at Muritala Mohammed Airport, and the ceiling was opened. It was torn, and I was seeing rats running around in our airport, in the ceiling. I was seeing rats running around. So somebody said the rat even fell on one of those days. One of one of those days before my travel, before I went to the airport to travel, someone said a rat fell down from that ceiling there. And when I entered JFK and I saw airport, I saw how things are. I said, God, in my mind, I started cursing our leader. Like, these leaders travel to the place every day, every every now and then, and they see how this place look like, and they allow our country to be like that. That day, I entered train, entered ferry, entered just this following day. We went to Times Times Square in New York. We went to those places, those very popular places. Where's this place that this guy fought recently? We went to that place to went to those places, so many places there, and I was like, God, this is US. And then of course my our boy was almost a year old then, was 9 months old. Yeah, was 9 months old at that time. But I left them in Nigeria during that time, and then virtual. Of course, 6 months later, they also joined. That's another story on its own. One interesting thing in the story of my wife is that where she was working, when she wanted to go and pick the visa, her own visa, the they were saying they didn't give her permission to go. My wife, I told her, you don't need their permission. When you get your visa, they'll be the one congratulating you and telling you we are sorry for not giving you permission. Okay, so and that was how it was. I just didn't give up. So when I always tell people, don't give up, I'm actually talking from a place of experience. There are things I've seen. I know the feeling. I know the feeling when things were looking like it was working. Because when I had my scholarship to Italy and I saw that I'll be going to Italy, my mind, my mind already left Nigeria. Do you understand that kind of thing? My mind left Nigeria totally. The way I was looking at everything was different. My mind left Nigeria. But when it happened otherwise, and then I saw that I won't be traveling again, to bring my mind out of the country back to Nigeria was tough. Okay, I had to find a way to bring my mind all the way from Italy to bring it back into my body. Like, okay, you are still remaining in Nigeria for some years, from months or whatever. Okay, so that is the story of how I eventually got my PhD offer, and then here I am. Of course, my friend. Let me talk about those other friends that we were doing things together. Then one of my friends then also got an offer in the US during the same time I got mine. So both of us left Nigeria around the same time. One didn't get. You can imagine how the third guy will feel. Two of us left. He was left behind in quotes. Okay, but that guy also did not give up. It did not give up. We would talk and then we say things like, don't give up, don't do, you can still do it. And before you know it, like a year or 2 years after, that my friend too also got his own offer, got his own admission to his own scholarship. He got it too. In fact, we were four that started all these things, that were doing all these things together. One came earlier than the three of us, then two of us came, then the last guy, he came. So don't forsake let me use the way the scripture actually put it. Don't forsake the assembly of brethren. In this regard, talking about scholarship. Okay, don't don't forsake that. Don't do it together with people. Find people of like minds. Do it together, and then you will see that eventually, no, the Bible says iron sharpened iron. You just sharpen each other. You sharpen each other. It's easy to give up, especially when you don't have people encouraging you. It's very, very, very easy to give up. Looking at the situation of, if I tell you those things I did between, I opened lessons, a center, a lesson, tutorial center at the point. Later, I shut it down. Everything I bought to use in that center, I packed it somewhere. Of course, I sold books. Books is my passion. If you if you have if you are in UI, you probably would have seen me selling books in your hall of residence before, especially in Kuti Hall or in your fellowship, whatever. I sell books. I did a lot of things. Did extra lesson. My Saturdays, I'll be teaching physics around, teaching students. And one interesting thing, be good at what you do. I remember those times my students, when I left secondary school and started teaching A level, those students from secondary school will still tell their parents that we want Mr. Ajayi to be the one to teach us physics. They want to do extra lessons. So I had a lot of students in my hand that I don't even know how to deal with them. If I say, oh, go and meet your own teacher now, who is teaching you physics in secondary school, they will say, no, 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 no. They will tell their parents will beg me that I should shall look for one time within the week, 1 hour, 2 hour, or whatever, Saturday, Sunday, whichever day, to try and fix them in. Sometimes I will have to teach 2 or 3 students together in private lesson, private lesson which you do one on one. But because they are so much, and then they agree together, okay, that yes, we go together, and then I teach them together. No, all those stuffs, they will come to my house. I have students that will come to my house. And one of the things I did before I left Nigeria, which is a really good thing, which I encourage everyone to do, is you can use your gift to bless people too. I remember in Nigeria before I left, there are some, in fact, there were days before I left Nigeria, days, week, like a week, like 2 weeks, and some days before I left Nigeria. They brought some people from the north. Those guys were displaced from by Boko Haram, all those trouble. So they came to the south. They have a home for them somewhere in Ibadan then there. And then we had to, of course, they teach them things, train them, and do all those things. And I also had to go to teach them physics, okay, because some of them wanted to write jam. Some of them were preparing for exam in the north when they were displaced, when some of them have not seen their family for months, 10 months, 7 months. Some of them actually lost family members. When I got there, I asked the students, the children, how many of you have lost family members here? Almost all of them, I think, raised up their hand. They've lost different people to the violence. Some of them were chased out of exams, out of school when they wanted to write the exam. So I was teaching them physics. At least those last few days, I spent teaching those girls, those boys and girls, physics, discussing with them, having a nice time with them, and doing things. Okay, doing things. They will come. I used to go to student conferences then in Nigeria, so they will come to our conferences too. We pack them, bring them to conferences, take them back home, give them food, supply them, help those out that house that was taking care of them, the organization in quotes taking care of them, just volunteering to use your gift. It's a very good thing too. You can actually consider it's a very good thing. Let people be blessed uh, by you, by your gift. All right. So that is how my story is, and here I am today, still doing my physics, my PhD in nuclear physics. Of course, I must say that my interest when I came was to do condensed matter physics, but now I'm doing nuclear physics. That's another story on its own. Let me see some questions here that I can give answer to before I leave. So, Kelvin, you're asking, can I switch from accounting to data science and business analytics? Yes, you can actually. You can switch from accounting to data science, business to business analytics. Yes, you can actually switch. All you just have to do is make sure you get a hold on um, what you are switching to. Try to learn something. My friend switched to data analytics. Okay, he had to learn so many things before you could switch, before you could apply. Okay, because in your SOP you want to tell them what you actually know, you want to tell them what you have done, so you can actually switch. So Kwemipo, you're asking, do I have or know such encouragement groups? Such encouragement group. All right. So encouragement group, if you don't have friends who are doing the same thing you are doing presently, Twitter is a good place. The academic Twitter, Nigeria academic Twitter now, what we do is more like a caucus now. Should I call it a caucus here? You see a lot of encouragement there. And I know many of those guys have WhatsApp group, Telegram group, which they try to do things together. Okay. One of the I was using what do you call it, Naira Land. Then I was active on Naira, not very active, but to a large extent, I know what was going on Naira Land at that time too. So you see a lot of testimony, a lot of people doing that there. So you can actually look at that. But Twitter is a very good place too. And then you can join some of those Telegram, WhatsApp group. I'm not talking about those Telegram group or WhatsApp group that they'll ask you to pay some certain amount before you can join or before they can help you or whatever. But just a group of people who are like-minded, people like you. In fact, almost all of you guys will be applicants, those who are trying to apply. And then you keep on encouraging each other. Sometimes a call from a friend will go a long way in encouraging you. Someone will just call and say, I'm still doing this thing, I'm not giving up, and you're at the verge of giving up, you to pick up yourself and you say, oh, I'm not giving up, I'll continue to do this thing. Okay, so, oh, you're asking my GRE score. Very low score. I had just an average score. I had 307 or 308, if I can remember. So it's just an average score. And then I used it. It was good enough for me. So don't be disturbed too much about your GRE score. I've seen people with 295, 298. Someone with 298 got an offer. Okay, people with 300 and all those stuff. And then, of course, you still have some people who had 310 and above. They still didn't get the offer they actually need. I believe personally, I was targeting 310 as the minimum score, but I had 307. Okay, so which is not too bad too. But so don't think your GRE score is bad, it's too bad. So when you're saying, can one do PhD with MBA, please? Um, what do you mean? Can one do PhD with MBA? Do you mean PhD? You want to do PhD and MBA at the same time? If that is the case, I don't think that's possible. Okay, there are two different programs, of course. Uh, so MBA is Masters of Business Administration. PhD is different. It's just uh, having a doctorate. PhD is doctorate. Okay, Doctor of Philosophy. That's PhD. So I don't think you can do it together if that's what you actually mean. Or if you mean PhD in business, that's a different question. Okay, but PhD with MBA, no, it's PhD is work on its own, MBA is work on its own. So I know you can finish your PhD and do MBA if you actually want. I think I know someone who did his PhD and then did MBA too afterwards. Baba Tokwe, Tade, oh, thank you for coming too. Can you be my mentee? Yes, if you are. I mean, I I have a lot of people who say, why I receive messages from this every day, every time. Even before I left Nigeria, I had mentees. Even when I was in Nigeria, I had a lot. And when I mean mentees, I don't mean those that will just do Twitter tweets, and then you are calling from afar off. I mean mentees, those who will come to my house, those who will sleep over in my house, those who will stay with my wife, stay with me. In fact, one of them, and we still have some of them that we are still together even till now. One of them is the one I said got scholarship to study in Russia. What do you call it now? An undergraduate scholarship. Those girls, then their parents will just come. They just trusted us. They will come to our house, spend days in our house. And then after some days, the parents will come and pick them again. We will hold conferences. Those parents will just bring their children and then they will come back again. So I had a lot of them. So if we will see what can happen. Send me a message with that through Twitter. We just see how we go from there. Okay, I believe relationship grow over time. Okay, I believe relationship grow over time. So send me a message. Hopefully, tag me if I didn't respond to you. Tag me under one of my tweets that you have sent me a message, and then I will find it, and then we'll just continue and see how it develops from there. It's very possible. Okay, we graduated with a BSc in business admin. I'm still confused of the master's course to pursue. Okay, BSc admin. It will all depend on you, what you think you want to do. I know many people with business, some may go for business, MBA, masters in business, some will go for public administration, some will go for, depends on you. You just have to find courses in that regard, in that line. Um, MBA may be the right thing. But again, I've not seen too much scholarship for MBA. I've not seen that much. Many people I know who did MBA or who are presently doing MBA actually paid their own money. Okay, maybe while they were doing the program, they might get one scholarship, one or two scholarship along the line. Okay, but uh, you just find things around that you can do around that business administration. I know public administration is in that line. Things around that line that are funded. Uh, but if you actually have your money, MBA is a way to go. Yeah. Okay, so at one point you are explaining what you meant now. I want to do a PhD, but I am an MBA and I want can't do a PhD. Oh, you have an MBA. I don't. I'm not sure that is true that you can't do a PhD if you have an MBA. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. Okay, someone is asking for my Twitter handle. Okay, I will come to your question, Ebube. My Twitter handle. My Twitter handle. That's Sam the Great 01. Yeah, so that's my Twitter handle at Sam the Great 01. So, Ebube, let me come to your question. What changed in the way I write my research proposal? Okay, so the thing now is in US, when you apply to US schools, you don't need to write research proposals. That's a big difference. You only need to write statement of purpose, which is different from research proposal. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys that I also attempted South Africa. And then I secured the supervisor in South Africa. If you're on Twitter, you'd have seen the professor's response I shared recently. Okay, so I also applied to South Africa. I was discussing, and in South Africa, you must get a professor. It's this research proposal that reminded me. You must get a professor to work with in South Africa. Of course, they have funding too and all those stuff. And if your professor has funding, that's added plus for you. You can take care of yourself by teaching and doing all these things like that looks like teaching assistantship. So I sent messages to so many professors in South Africa too. And eventually I got a response from a prof. And late, I was already planning South Africa when I was frustrated, when that frustration got to a very high level. And I was thinking, yes, it's South Africa. And the discussion with the prof was already moving ahead. And I was like, okay. But one last mail from the prof, and I didn't like the way the prof was sounding. The way the prof was sounding in his message was already like, telling me like you understand those type of prof that you already feel like they are condescending, they are what's the simple grammar now, they are looking at you like someone who doesn't know anything and they are commanding you around and all those stuff. I just felt within me, is this type of prof you want to work with? I'm not going to spend 3 years working with this type of prof. That was how I left South Africa thing and concentrated on US fully, because that was after the first denial I got from US University. I just said, okay, I'm going to South Africa. That's what I'm going to do. I was already researching, doing things for those prof, doing writing. We're already corresponding. And this year, I have one of those prof that I sent messages to who responded once. The prof requested for a writing statement, a writing, what do you call it? A writing sample. I sent him a sample of my MSc work. He just responded this year and was saying, okay, can we work together? And I responded to the prof that I'm sorry, sir, I'm already in the United States pursuing my PhD. After 3 years, the professor remembered me. So I attempted South Africa too, but I didn't go. So, Ebube, to your question, US does not require research proposal. All you just write is statement of purpose. That's all you do in the US. Statement of purpose. You don't need a research proposal. Many times you fit in into what is already on ground, and then you just know. No, US they treat us like babies. So when we come in, we still do coursework. They will teach different professors will come talk about their research group, talk about their research interest. You will see if you can join if you want to join them. They'll be telling you, "Oh, we have funding, join my group." Another one will say, oh, I have funding, I have this and that, I have travel grants, join my group. Another one will say, oh, I don't have funding, but what I have is beautiful. You will be on teaching assistantship, you'll be collecting money from the school, but I won't be paying you, so you have to teach. No, they are trying to woo us into their own research group. So that's how US is. You don't need to write a research proposal. You just write statement of purpose. Okay, so Ezra is becoming friend with Okpemipo. That's beautiful. So Kiki, you are asking, what is my chance of getting funding in the US to my PhD without having a prospective supervisor? Okay, so let me talk about that from my own experience. The first time I applied to FSU here, I try to get in contact with prospective supervisor. That's very good because they can speak for you. And I got one during that time who um, told me, yeah, I can use his name, I can do all those stuff. But that first time, I didn't get admission into the school. I didn't get funding. I didn't get anything. The second time, I just applied again. In fact, when I was applying again, because I wasn't so sure that I should apply, I told them they should use some of the document I sent in the previous application for the current application. I told them to use the same letter of recommendations, those ones that were sent for me. They should use the same letter of recommendation for me. They should just update it in the new admission, I mean application cycle. Because I didn't want to disturb my referees again to start writing another letter for me for FSU again when they already did a year before. So because I wasn't even so convinced. Remember, I wrote in my diary that in a little place I'm not so sure that I'll be attend I'll be applying to this school, or let's just waste a $30 application fee. I felt like I might be wasting it because I was just applying because I felt was leading me to apply. So I just said, okay, you guys use the letter of recommendation I used last year, just update it in this cycle. I told them, what did I tell them again? I told them some things that I won't do for the new cycle because I've done it before, and then they accepted. So, um, but when I applied again, I also didn't contact any professor because I was at that point of frustration. I didn't contact any professor during that time again, and then boom, I was admitted. And then when I came here, the professor I contacted in the previous cycle, I went to meet him that, hey, I contacted you that time, blah, blah, blah. He remembered me. And I said, okay, I'm not working with you. I just wanted to introduce myself to you and all. And then started working with another person. Okay, yeah. Bro Bimbo is saying something that if the MBA is a professional, it may be unacceptable for PhD, which is purely academics. Okay, so I get where the question is coming from now, Okpemikpo. So you are saying you want to use that MBA to apply for a PhD. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, so if it is professional, yeah, there will be a conflict there. You can't do it. If it is academic, you can actually use it, but if it is professional, you cannot use it for a PhD. Now, I was thinking from the perspective of US, where you can actually apply for PhD with with a BSc. It's very possible in the US because all you still have to do, you spend 5 years, the first 2 years like coursework, and then you can earn a master's along the line. Earning your PhD, you can earn a master's along the line. So I get the question. I think that should actually answer your question. All right. Somebody, nobody. Okay. You have 2.88 out of 4 in BS, 3.6 out of 4 in MS. Should I explain low undergrad GPA in SOP? Well, if the school requires that you explain such things, you can do. But if they don't require you to explain, just focus on your strengths. Just focus on your strengths. Focus on the research experience you have gained. Focus on all those things. But if they require, some schools actually require you to explain low CGPA. If you actually have a low CGPA, you can actually do that. If the school actually requires you to do that, yeah. But if not, just focus on your strengths and then let them make the decision themselves. Okay, Kelvin is saying I observed that they hardly have scholarships for business. That's true. Yeah, that's true. There are not very many funded offer. I know someone who had a first class in physics doing MBA here in the US. The person started out by funding himself. I don't know if he has funding now, but of course, he started out by funding himself. Okay, this question is for Bromby now. Like, do you have to do another MSc before doing PhD? So for as far as I know, it will depend on where you want to do PhD. It will depend on where you want to do PhD, their requirements. That's why for every PhD program, their requirements are usually different. Read through their requirements. You have to understand what they're actually saying. Some may say, okay, we accept MSc. Some may say, oh, it's just we can take BSc straight away. Some will say, oh, you must have MSc in so. Read the requirement from the school to know what they actually want. Okay, Fav B, thank you. So Adekunle, you are saying you've written a prof and currently you have 8 of them, okay, that have agreed to supervise your PhD in US and Canada. But most of these schools, their application fee is high. You wrote letter for application fee waiver, but nothing. Yeah, keep writing them. Let the prof know your situation too. If you actually having difficulty, some professors pay for their students. Okay, I've seen professors who paid application fee for their students. And one of the schools I applied to when I was applying, the department paid application fee for some of us. Okay, the department paid application fee for some of us. So don't give up. Let your professors know the situation too. Let them know how hard Nigeria is, how the economy is, how you are struggling, and all those stuff. Let them know. Okay, let the professors actually know if they're actually interested in working with you, and they are actually sure of choosing you, they will they may pay for you. I have a friend who is in Yale now. Some of the applications he made, some of the professors paid for his application fee. Okay, so they may actually pay for you. And then, of course, the truth again is applications, I see them as investments. In the long run, it will benefit you. What I had to do was just, I was collecting my salary, I had my family, I was still applying. I was saying, this is investment for the future. Okay, so see it as an investment. So even if you have to pay those very high application fee, see it as an investment. For me, all those money I wasted on all those Asia, all those places, all those doing authorization around, running from place to place, sending documents, doing South Africa, doing everything, all the money I wasted then, uh, for me, it's still an investment, even though it looked like it was wasted. All those first cycle of application, what I wasted, it's not a waste in the long run because here I am doing my PhD. I gained experience. I've learned a lot. I'm helping other people chart the way. So it's an investment. So if you have to pay it. Okay, it will be an investment in the long run. Okay, so I think we'll come to the end of the stream today. If there's no more question, so if you need information on specific things, you can check some of the videos I've made here on uh, YouTube or some of the past meetings we've had, Zoom meetings that we've had, YouTube meetings like this that we've had. So thank you so much for joining the stream today. Of course, I'll see you at the top. That's where I will have to see you. It's at the top. Even if you decide not to leave Nigeria eventually, it's still at the top. Okay, it's because you have something doing, because you have something you're actually doing in Nigeria. That's why you chose to stay there. It's about seeing you at the top. God bless you, really good.